Now I'm going to share with you some of these ideas about, how your life goes from good to great, right? To great to extraordinary, etc. And I want to start with the first one, which is really deciding what you want. You have to decide the one thing. You got to start with something. And Luann has talked about this. Many of the speakers have talked about this. What's the one thing you're going to do? You need to just pick a thing and then believe it's possible. So I want to be love in every moment. I picked it. I thought, I want to do that. I want to try that. And life's so fun because you get to experiment and try things out. And what if I kept in the forefront of my life, be love in every moment? And it was interesting. I thought, well, people will say, well, it's not humanly possible, right? We're humans. We have all different emotions. That's not possible. But again, I go back to the 4-minute mile. Anything's possible. And then I went to this workshop, and this man was on stage, and he talked about the frequency of joy. And he said, there's a frequency of joy that's always available to everyone in every moment. And I thought of it like this, it's a frequency. It's like right there, there's that frequency. And he said, at any time in your life, at any moment, you can tap into that frequency of joy. And I thought, this is interesting. It's not like you have joyful, fun experiences, and then when you're in it, that's great, and they just happen as they happen. But there's joy that's always available to us, and we can tap into it at any moment. And he lifted his finger up like this, and he goes, it's right there. And when he did this, it's right there thing, the finger, I'm like, I felt it. I felt joy. And what does joy feel like? Well, I'm sure it feels different for everybody, but it's a sense of well-being. It's just like this feeling in your body that just kind of feels good. It's like a little tingly, like feels good. I'm like, okay, maybe I tapped into it, just randomly. And so then he talked about how, you can actually be in a frequency of joy all the time. And you can live life like that all the time. And I'm like, I like this idea. And then he said, actually, psychologists have talked about how people that are severely depressed, and I actually have had close family that have been in that state of severe depression, where it's just like, there's like nothing you can do. It's just so hard when you're outside of that, right? And they said even severely depressed people have been able to tap into joy in that state of severe depression. And I thought, wow, okay, this is kind of, it's not just one guy, it's not just someone he said it, it's like there's research, psychologists are talking about it. Okay, this is interesting. So I'm going to try that, okay? And so I made that thing, right? I picked my one thing. I'm like, I want to be in a state of joy in all times. I want to be love in every moment. And I'm going to try and do that. And he talked about how do you do that, right? So he said, first of all, you want to be able to tap into it. You want to increase the amount of time. So how many minutes a day are you in joy? That's kind of a scary question sometimes, right? It's like, in joy, in that state. You could say, I don't know, an hour, 4 hours, 3 hours, whatever. Do you do things that are fun and joyful in your life every day? What do you do that's joyful every day? So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to start with doing what I do with joyful, and then work on extending the periods of joy, right, to longer periods, and then also making a point to check in with myself a couple different times a day, like, oh, am I in the frequency? Oh, if I'm not, bring myself there, okay? And just see if I can just kind of randomly, over time, tap in and out of it as I go. And one of the things you start with is, what is something that is actually a joyful activity for you? Is there something in your life that when you do it, whatever it is, it's fun, it's joyful? For me, it happened to be walking in nature. I was someone that liked to take walks every day, and so I said, okay, when I'm taking my walk every day, which I used to take a walk for, whether it be 15, 20 minutes, a half hour, an hour, I'm going to just be in the moment and be in that state of joy. And then I decided I was going to increase my walking time to be in joy longer. So my walks would go beyond, 30 minutes or an hour to like a 2-hour walk, right? And as you're walking, any walkers in the room? As you're walking and hiking, you're enjoying nature, but sometimes your mind drifts, right? It drifts to, what you have to do, right? The future, it drifts to the past. You kind of get distracted. So I'm having a nice time walking, and then like seeing the plants, seeing the squirrels and the birds and the nature, and going, oh wow, isn't this great? This is so wonderful. And then I'll start thinking of something. Usually when I do that, some bee buzzes me or some bird like dive bombs me. And then I say to myself, that's the universe bringing me back to the present. Because one of the things I also learned from some psychologists is that sometimes people that are depressed spend a lot of time in the past, and some people that have a lot of anxiety are spending a lot of time worrying about the future. and that joy is in the present moment. And so I said, okay, so I'm going to go on these walks and I'm going to stay present. And what stay present means is I'm just in the moment. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm just here now, right? Experiencing what it is. And I made it kind of like a personal mission, like could I go on a whole walk without ever thinking past or future? Could I actually stay present in every moment? This is how fun life is. We get to do whatever we want to do, right? We get to experiment and craziness. And so I do that until I get to a place where I'm like, yeah, I think I just did that whole 1 hour walk, enjoy. And then I go home and I open the door, my husband says, did you get those things done I asked you to do? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, snap back into it. Don't go there. No, honey, not yet. Come back into the joy. So just kind of outlining one technique of this idea of there is a frequency of joy. There is something that if you decide to do and play with it, experiment with it, have fun, you can do it. Now I'd like to give you a few more axioms. These are just kind of phrases or things that if you keep in mind or operate under this paradigm, your life changes dramatically. And this is where I've seen dramatic changes. Like I said, really, really big. The first axiom is no judgment. Now, no judgment, and again, what I would do is I would hear these axioms, and if it resonated with myself, then I would try it out. If it didn't resonate, whatever. Or it sounds kind of interesting, but I'm just not ready for that yet. Okay? So the no judgment one, I liked it, it sounded good, it felt good. And so no judgment means you judge a number of different things. First off, you judge people. So the judgment that we place when we say, why did so-and-so do that? Why didn't they do this? Why weren't they thinking that? It's time and judgment, right? Can you believe that they did this? Can you believe that they did that? That's a lot of mental energy, physical and emotional energy, putting into judgment. As opposed to, oh, they did that. They're a human. They're entitled to their own life experience on the planet. They did that. No judgment. Wow, I saved myself so much time. Right? And then people tell you, not only do people judge, but they tell you about their judgments. They engage you in conversations about judgments, right? Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you. Don't you agree? Judge with me. Join my judging. All right? Now we're all judging. This is good. And it was really fun for me because I realized that, wow, there's a lot of time spent in judgment of others. And I'll tell you, if you do try this one out, it's not that easy. Okay, and it's okay because you catch yourself. But I just made the whole thing a game. I'm like, this is going to be fun. I am not going to judge anyone. If I do, I'll just immediately see it and become aware of it, and then I'll move out of it. And if people bring up their judgment stuff, I'll just kind of, and I just don't really say anything really. On occasion, I might go like, I can understand, but I'm like, no, don't engage. So that's the non-judgment of people. Right there, you want to talk about more joy? Eliminate all that. How much more time do you have for joy? Pretty good amount. Second thing, judge what happens in the world. Judge circumstances. I was late. It rained. It's this, it's that. My flight was delayed. They didn't have the right room for me. Whatever these things are. And then the judgment of what happens, what is. It just is. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it terrible? Is it whatever? It just is. So your flight's delayed. It's delayed. It just is. Okay. So it's raining. For the 3 days I plan to go to New York City and go all over the park and go out to nightclubs every night and visit all the rooftops. It just rained for 3 days. We had a great time. This just happened a month ago. We were walking in the rain with our umbrella in Central Park. It was so cool. We were the only ones on the rooftop because it was raining. And so again, I'm playing with this. I'm like challenging myself. I'm like, it just is, right? So now I'm not judging the people. I'm not judging what comes up. Anything comes up, whatever, it's okay, it just is. And I'm noticing a freedom from it. Wow. I just felt freer. I have more time. I have more space. I have more joy because I'm not spending it and getting bummed and all those other feelings. And I thought I was doing pretty good. Then the last area of judgment comes. We all know what that is? Judge yourself. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for that. And so I'm like, I don't judge myself. I'm not really that kind of person. And then I'm like, okay, but we're going to focus on this, Eileen. We're just going to be sure that you're in full alignment to the no judgment concept. I'm like, okay. And then you notice when judgments come up. And you just notice, it's okay. I just don't stay with it, right? So it's like it comes up, you notice it, you let it go. So again, this is all a practice, but I'll tell you, doing this practice has changed my life dramatically. So much more time. It's amazing. Now I'm going to go on to the next one because that's even better. It's called easy and effortless. My life is easy and effortless. Now just take that phrase. And when I heard it, someone use it, I'm like, that sounds cool. I want an easy and effortless life. Everything I do is easy and effortless. I'm telling you this, it's a concept, right? So I'm adopting that concept, I tell myself. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to play with it. I'm going to see how it goes. So everything that comes up in my life, I tell myself is easy. My life is easy and effortless. I get to come up and give talks. They're easy and effortless. I get to do all these things. Different things come up. I tell myself everything's going to be easy and effortless. And I'm just trying. And sometimes it's the end of the day and I have to write an email or do a thing and it does not feeling easy and effortless. And I'm aware of the feeling in my body like, writing this email doesn't feel easy and effortless. Making this phone call doesn't feel easy and effortless. And then I told myself, that's okay. Why don't you can you make it the call tomorrow? Can you write the email then? Maybe after dinner you'll have more energy, feel differently. Take a walk, take a nap. If it's not feeling easy and effortless in the moment, don't do it. I'm like, ooh, I like this. What can I get away with? I only do easy and effortless. And seriously, this build and the momentum, it's amazing. And it's just a mindset. And so then, testers come up, and it will continually to come up. And so I had a trip coming up, and the trip was my first trip alone, flying into London, going to Glastonbury, then flying to Ireland, Dublin, and then flying to Scotland, Edinburgh. So I'm flying by myself. I'm meeting groups of friends in the first two countries. I've got it all set up to meet friends. But I don't really know how the logistics of how am I going to, where am I going to stay, whether it's hotels or Airbnbs, or how am I going to get there in terms of transportation, cars or airports. But I'm on the fly. And the Scotland thing, we'll see what happens. And normally I'm a planner. I'm a planning kind of person. I like to have an agenda and a plan. I'm the person that books all the hotels, books all the places you're going to go, what sites you're going to see, all that. And at one moment, as I was getting ready for this trip, I'm like, is this a lot? And I'm like, no, easy and effortless. Everything, easy and effortless. I'm like, okay, I'm going with the easy and effortless. Let it be that. Let it be that. Just by saying, I want to live a life. I want to live the easy, effortless paradigm. I'm just deciding to do it. It became that. And the trip was easy and effortless. It was crazy. It was like, okay, you could fly into London and take 3 different, a train here and a bus there and then whatever. And I'm like, or you could just taxi or Uber. You could, how am I going to get from the airport in England to Ireland? I don't know. And then someone says, hey, I'm out there. I don't even know how I'm going to get to the next place. And someone says, I'll drive you to the airport. I'm like, cool. And then I'm in Ireland, and I'm like, well, I'm flying out of Edinburgh in a week. I'm not sure where I'm staying yet or what I'm going to do, but that's my plan. And again, one of the people in Ireland said, oh, I stayed at this great hotel in Edinburgh, and you should stay there. And by the way, I'll take you to the airport, and you'll have a great time. And then someone calls me from England and says, hey, I'll meet you in Edinburgh, and we'll spend a couple days together. Whoa. It was easy and effortless. Crazy. So love that one. Okay, we only have time for one more. Maybe 2 if I just give you short questions. Next one is, everything in life is happening for you, for your greatest and highest good. You might have heard that. Again, these are just paradigms. I'm just trying them out and playing with them because why not, right? And so I'm like, I like the way that sounds. Sounds good. And so when things come up, no matter what it is, I just tell myself that phrase. And then I think, well, there's lots of times in life where things happen and we don't know now that they were a good thing, right? We find out later. I didn't get that job or that client, but then later on we're glad we didn't because we got a better one, right? Or, we didn't get that house we wanted to buy, but then, someone else bought it, but then we found out we got a better one last time. All these things, that guy you thought you liked or that woman you thought you liked. No, I'm just kidding. In any event, so it's that concept of everything is happening for me for my greatest and highest good, and I'm just choosing to believe that. Because I could choose to not believe that and be really bummed and down and depressed, but again, why? And also, it's kind of fun to think up like some really crazy, lofty, potential reason that could be for the greatest and highest good. And I think of my aunt and family in the back that just had like their flight canceled, the whole flight's canceled, and then they got to like find a new plane to get to the new place, to get to the thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it was for their greatest and highest good. There's got to be a reason in there. Maybe the plane just wasn't a good plane. Good thing they didn't get on it, because who knows, it could have crashed. In any event, what's happening for your greatest and highest good? The last one is choiceless. Choiceless, I only do things that are choiceless. And just that phrase, that concept, I'm going to live a life where I only do things that are choiceless. And so again, I'm trying these things out. And so the choiceless idea is that, you know that feeling of when someone says to you, do you want to do something? And you're like, absolutely. Like every cell of your body is like, yes, I want to do this. This is going to be great. That's choiceless, right? When you're like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. You're not feeling it, right? But when you want it, you're like, absolutely. So I'm like, I'm going to operate my life that way. Something's not choiceless, I'm not going to do it. And so it's really been kind of fun, honestly, because my life is just more enjoyable. And I realize that there's responsibility with choiceless, right? And that other people can be impacted. My girlfriend says, do you want to go with me here? And I say, no, thanks. Doesn't feel, I don't say, no, thanks, it's not choiceless. I just say, no, thanks for the offer, it sounded great, right? And things will come up that'll make those kinds of decisions. People will call you, can you help me with this? And I'll just check in. And I'd love, someone gave a great example today of like, you don't have to say yes to everyone that calls, you have to say yes to yourself first, right? So I check into myself first on what's choiceless, and then I operate that way. So I've been doing that, and again, I feel like my life is happier. Like the things I do, I'm choosing to do happily and joyfully. It's like, whoa, I didn't know we could operate this way on the planet. No one told me. No one told me that life was meant to be fun, and that I could do the choiceless things I want. It was going to be easy and effortless. This is sounding pretty cool, isn't it? This is where that grand and extraordinary life comes in. So the other aspect of choiceless that I've kind of extended out was obviously to my husband. And we talked about this choiceless concept because sometimes he'll say, can you come with me to go do this? And I'll just be like, no, I'm not feeling choiceless. He loves it when I go grocery shopping or to, something like Trader Joe's or Costco or something like that. And I'm like, no, it's not choiceless. So we start talking about choiceless. He starts talking about choiceless, and he understands the concept. And one of the wonderful things about us in our 38-year marriage is that we always saw each other as partners in life on this grand and glorious adventure together. And that we're here to support each other on the grand and glorious adventure of life. But that was, so it's support and love. It's not like you have to do everything I want and I have to do everything you want. So he's fully on board with the whole choiceless thing. And again, it's so beautiful to see, because I have memories of earlier times this year before we got into this whole choiceless kick, which has been just lately, and it's been really great, where he would go and he didn't want to go. And you know what it's like when you're with someone that doesn't really want to be there. I'm going for you. I know you like this. I'm going for you. I'm like, well, we're going to have a great dinner tonight. I'm out at my favorite restaurant with the best food and wine there is. And he's like, and I'm here for you. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want another night like that. Right? And I remember a couple of Mother's Days and Father's Days where like the kids show up and we're like doing the things and they're like, they don't want to be there. I'm like, it's Mother's Day. You should be happy. Smile. You're with me. And they're not, because they don't want to do the things. And so it's been so fun because we've extended it out, right? We've extended this choicelessness out to like anybody. My mom, all of us, we were all like, we're into choiceless. And so last story, my brother Bob comes out for my birthday, which is unusual, from New York City. And he says, it's your birthday, we're coming out to celebrate you and have fun with you. And I'm like, great, what are we going to do? What do you want to do? You're coming from New York. He's like, whatever you want. And I'm like, really? I mean, when was the last time someone says, like, whatever you want? I'm like, do you want me to be honest? He's like, yeah, whatever you want. I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you what I want for my birthday and want to do for my birthday. And I'm feeling my full, like, grand and glorious life, yes, right? And I say, and I want all the family to know, I have my brother Patrick, my mom, my brother Bob, his wife, my 2 kids, my husband. I want everyone to know that if it's not choiceless to go to any of these birthday activities, let's make it a weekend, no problem, you don't have to come, okay? Because I don't want anyone coming to any of these events that isn't absolutely choiceless. And so the first event was we're gonna walk around Poway Lake. It's a beautiful lake out in San Diego, and it's a 3-mile loop. And after that, I want to ride a power boat. I've never driven a power boat before. These little ones, they're no big deal around this little lake. But I've walked the lake for 5 years, and I've seen people boating, and I want to ride a power boat. And so, who wants to come attend that piece? The next piece is we're going to a winery. I love wine. And we're going to have a fabulous lunch at the winery. And it's going to be delicious, and we're going to taste, and it's going to be great. And then the next event is I love to go dancing. I love dancing. I'm like, I want to go to a club in San Diego. I want to get bottle service. I want to make it fun. We're going to go, ah! And so, of course, the family's like, whoa, we asked her what she wanted to do. It's kind of crazy, right? And so I'm like, okay. So certain members of the family did certain activities, right? Everyone was up for the boat ride. Now everybody wanted to do the long lake. Some of the family members liked the idea of the winery lunch. Some didn't. Some people wanted to go, actually the whole gang came to the club. Even my mom back there, woohoo, we were dancing and having a great time, but not everybody stayed long. They wanted to see like a club. We haven't been to a club in San Diego. We haven't been to a club in years. I thought people your age don't go to clubs. I'm like, they do now. So those are just a few examples of new paradigms that you can try out, that you can play with. And so I'm so thankful to be here with all of you today and to share this time together where you got a chance to look at you. And I just invite you to just step into this marvelous, this amazing opportunity we have to live on this planet, in this life, this time, and love every minute of it. So thank you all very much.